It's gotten quiet. Must be the time. All right, we'll come to order. Thank you for being here tonight. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silent prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we go any further tonight, see if my chair work right. Do we have a youth council here? If we do, please stand up. Oh, very good. And yes. And well, you have a microphone. Can you tell me your name, your school?
My name is Alexia Seymour, and I go to Northwest Cabarrus High School.
And what grade are you in?
11th grade.
Great, very good. Thank you.
My name is Parnika Gajula, and I go to Northwest Cabarrus High School, and I'm in 11th grade.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Rashmi Rupa. I go to Cox Mill High School, and I'm in 10th grade.
My name is Estella Dorton. I go to J.M. Robinson High School, and I'm in 11th grade.
My name is Claire Reinecker. I go to Cabarrus Kannapolis Early College High School, and I'm in 11th grade.
My name is Adi Lotwala, and I go to Cox Mill, and I'm in 11th grade.
My name is Ayush Patel. I go to Cox Mill in 11th grade.
My name's Sujay Gopreddy. I go to Cox Mill, and I'm in 11th grade.
Thank you all for being here and also for what you're doing being in Youth Council. Thank you very much. Another round of applause. Do we have any scouts here tonight? We have no scouts. All right. Thank you very much. We will move on to approval of the minutes from February 16th, 20th, March 12th, and March 14th. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second, Mayor.
Motion is second. Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. We have a special presentation. We actually have several presentations here in item number one. And I would like Tom Faggart to come forward, please, and your team. And I will meet you down here. And I think Council Member Sweat's going to come down also. Lloyd, did you want to be part of this? You okay? Anyone else you want to have up here? Anyone else?
Oh, that's it. Good evening. My name is Tom Faggart. I'm the historian officer for Post 51, American Legion Post here in Concord. First of all, I'd like to thank the City of Concord for your efforts in always looking for and hiring veterans. Very important issue. We certainly do appreciate that. This evening, I'd like to present the Oakwood Cemetery 2023 edition of the Oakwood Cemetery Military Burial Roster, which includes the names of 1,619 documented war casualties and veterans buried in Oakwood Cemetery. Some of y'all may be familiar with the program, but we'll be speaking a little bit about it later. Wreaths Across America. So this is part of the ceremony. I have some important facts here, so pardon me for reading it, but there's some things here I do not want to miss, so bear with me as I read this. April 11th, 2024. As the historian officer of the Fred Y. McConnell American Legion Post 51, I would like to thank the City of Concord for its efforts to hire veterans, and also thank you for your annual Veterans Day luncheon for the city employees who are veterans. It is an honor for Post 51 to be present at the City of Concord. The Concord Police Department and Oakwood Cemetery present them with the 2023 editions of Oakwood Cemetery Military Burial Roster. These Oakwood Cemetery Military Burial Rosters being presented to you not only contain the names of 1,619 war casualties and veterans, but also contains the military history of Concord and Oakwood Cemetery. This 2023 edition is dedicated to one of Concord Police Department's finest, who died in the line of duty in 1920. He is Private First Class Ralph C. Kennerly. In 1916, Ralph was a member of the Concord National Guard Company L, Cabarrus Black Boys. He served along the Mexican border in the Mexican Punitive Expedition of 1916-1917 in pursuit of the Mexican bandit Pancho Villa. Within 6 months of returning home to Concord from the border, Ralph was on his way to France as a military policeman with the 30th Infantry Division to serve in the Great War in the trenches of France. When World War I was over, Ralph came home to Concord and joined the Concord Police Department. Ralph had only been with the Concord Police Department several months. On October the 18th, 1920, when he was engaged in a gunfight and was seriously wounded. The following morning, on October the 19th, 1920, while being visited by the Concord Police Chief, C.A. Robinson, Chief Robinson assured Ralph that he would get well. Ralph then asked the chief, "Did I get my man?" When Chief Robinson replied that he did, Ralph seemed better satisfied. And then Ralph died. Ralph is buried in Oakwood Cemetery. His funeral was very large, with a tremendous outpouring of the citizens of Concord. Police Chief C.A. Robinson is also buried in Oakwood Cemetery. PFC and Concord police officer Ralph C. Kennerly's words, "Did I get my man?" are engraved on his plaque at the Fallen Police Memorial outside of City Hall at the corner of the street here outside the police department. So with that, I would like to present first to Police Chief Jimmy Hughes. This is a bronze American Legion medallion that was found slightly buried at Officer Kennerly's grave. So this was retrieved and is dated 1919. So we don't know how long it's been buried, but I'd like to present this medallion to the Concord Police Chief and Department along with one of the burial rosters of veterans in Oakwood Cemetery. Also like to present to Bill, thank you for being our mayor, and one of these for the city of Concord.
Thank you.
Okay. And also one to Jackson Joseph. Without this guy, I tell you what, we'd have trouble in Oakwood Cemetery. He is a blessing to veterans, all the veterans buried in Oakwood Cemetery, and he's a blessing to Concord for his personal interest and his work of keeping Oakwood Cemetery up. Thank you, Joe. Would Kathy Dean come forward, please?
My name's Steve Moore. I'm the commander of American Legion Post 51 in Concord. And Mr. Jenkins, you guys that are with us, if you'll come up here, we'll get all the veterans up here. On behalf of all the veterans of Concord, we appreciate everyone supporting us and hearing us tonight. And to the City Council, we appreciate all of your support during the Wreaths Across America program. At this point, I will be reading a plaque, and I'd like to recognize Miss Kathy Dean, the Regent of the Cabarrus National Society Daughters of the American Revolution. Your steadfast leadership and has illuminated countless lives. Your organization of the 2022 and 2023 Wreaths Across America events at Oakwood Cemetery stands as a beacon of honor and remembrance. Your commitment to honoring our nation's heroes is an inspiration to all. With gratitude, we commend your unwavering dedication and selfless contributions presented on this 11th day of April, 2024 at Concord City Hall. Can we get one? Can we get all these guys behind us? Will you guys all move right behind us? Sorry. All right, you guys move closer to her. Right here. Move forward.
Okay.
And 5 or 6 of you, if you'll slide over.
Come on
behind.
up. Here we go.
Some of our folks in the back are hiding there. If you can just step to your right. I know you want to, but.
Okay, how would you like us?
Ship's moving, so we got a little more space.
Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. There you go.
Just try to be just a half step to your left. Perfect. Yes, we can make that happen. 1, 2, 3, a couple of here. Thank you so much.
And Tom, thank you all for being here and what you've been doing to help us. And we thank you.
While these gentlemen are walking back to their seats, I'd like to tell you, Wreaths Across America, we place wreaths on all 1,619 graves at Oakwood Cemetery. We encourage the community to come out and support us. It's typically the date fluctuates based on when the wreaths can be delivered, but we encourage you to come out and help us place these wreaths. The Boy Scouts, the small groups across the county, across the city, send out their youth to come and help us with this. We encourage our veterans and our supportive community members to come out and take part of that. It's rewarding in itself to see the veterans who've gone before us and be able to place a wreath and salute them in the holiday spirit. So I encourage you to come out and see that for yourself. We're always asking for donations, so if you work for a big company that's got deeper pockets than the American Legion, we'd love for them to come and help us donate for ensuring that those 1,600 wreaths are placed on graves. Again, thank you for supporting your veterans here in Concord.
Before we move on, I want Tom to go into a little bit of how this all happened, how many years you've been working on it, and also the city staff has done a magnificent job.
Magnificent job. I'm kind of a historian at heart, from native of Concord. I grew up here, went to Concord City School, started off at Colton Webb School.
Yeah.
Long time ago. So anyway, real interested in history here, and so I started documenting and researching Oakwood Cemetery. It started off small. This was over 10 years ago. Started off real small, and one of the earliest dates of a veteran buried in Oakwood Cemetery is Private James Napoleon Brown of 1846 Mexican-American War. Everybody called him Jimmy, Colonel Jimmy in Concord later on. And Colonel Jimmy was in the Mexican-American War with the Concord Company, the National Guard that went down there. After the Mexican-American War, he joined up with the Cabarrus riflemen, serving North Carolina in the war between the states. I'm gonna go on about him a little bit. He made quite an impression in Cabarrus County and in Concord. He was in Pickett's charge, wounded in Pickett's charge, wounded, went to Fort McPherson as a prisoner released, came home, became the postmaster of Concord. And while he was a postmaster of Concord, he ran for county commissioner. He became county commissioner. He was the county commissioner when our 1876 courthouse here was built. So he headed that up. And then after that, Colonel Jimmy wasn't finished then he ran for mayor of Concord. So the mayor of Concord is a veteran. The oldest veteran or earliest war of anyone buried in Oakwood Cemetery is the former mayor of the city of Concord. So unique history.
Yeah.
And it goes on from there. And then I started, one thing led to another. So I started documenting research of war by war by war. And now we have several guys from the Persian Gulf War that are buried in Oakwood Cemetery. So it ranges from 1846 to the Persian Gulf. That's how many veterans. And we have a number of war casualties buried in Oakwood Cemetery. And so anyone here who helped with Wreaths Across America, thank you very much. Any of you, we're looking for more volunteers and sponsors of Wreaths. So it's a great program, and thanks to Kathy Dean, who headed it up for the last 2 years. She worked thousands of hours. So it's all about preserving the history of Concord. And if you drive by that cemetery on North Church Street, it ain't just any old cemetery. It's Concord from beginning to time.
Tom, thank you so much. And this, so thank you. If you would, I would like. Thank you, Tom. All right, the items and presentations number 2, 3, and we're done Tuesday night, and 4 is moved for next month. We will now move to departmental reports.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Call on Sheila to come forward and give council an update regarding the Parks and Recreation bond projects.
Members of council, Mr. Payne, Ms. Kolchinsky, Ms. Deason. Tonight I'll give the bond update report for April, maybe. There we go. That's what it, see? The financial reporting update has stayed the same. This will not be updated until we start the bidding process for the upcoming bond projects. First bond project we'll talk about is Dorton Park. Construction continues at this site. We are still planned to be opened and on target to open this fall for this project. The picture to the left shows the renovations that are happening to the shelter. It's the removal of the cinder block on the shelters and adding a stone piece to the shelters. To the top right is the stream restoration for Afton Run. and we are beginning design on the northern part of Caldwell Park along Cottle Creek. That's where the bank eroded, and as you can see, it's moving closer to the trail, so this is under design right now. I'm sorry, do I need to go back for you? Okay. Marvin Caldwell Park, all the permits are in hand. We are nearing completion for the playground design. We are also reviewing the updated cost estimates from the consultant, and we are preparing the bid documents for this project. We are anticipating bidding this project with engineering's help sometime end of May, 1st of June. Next is the Jim Ramsor Park. We have received the erosion control permit. We have two things that are still pending on this project. That is the utility coordination relocation near the front for the driveway, and then NCDOT's driveway permit. Once these two items have been received, we'll be able to start beginning the bidding documents to bid this project. We also have an updated cost estimate, and we're reviewing that at this time also.
Just a quick question, when do you think you'll be able to bid? Jim?
This one will probably be July, August. In June, once we understand where these projects will land for the bidding, I plan on bringing each council member the updated timeline schedule for the projects as we get closer, so I know where the bidding will land. Next is Hartselle Park. Design for this park continues. We are planning a public update meeting this summer, and we are looking for a sewer allocation application in around September 2024 this year. Next is the Academy Gibson Skate Park Pump Track Sculpture Garden. As you remember, we removed the building that's at the corner of Kerr and Academy to its own project. This project is under design. We are planning a public update meeting next month. Once the date has been confirmed, we will work with Public Affairs to get that information out to the citizens for them to attend. Okay, this is the open land. Kerr Street will be north at the top. Cedar will be to the left. You're welcome. Next is the Academy Gibson Fields. Design development continues on this project. The consultant will be here for an on-site meeting next week on the 17th to tour the facilities with staff. This project includes Webb Field, Diamond and Rectangle, McAllister Field, Diamond, and Gibson Field, which is also a diamond. And the Gibson Field, we're looking to improve that and make it a neighborhood park for the Gibson Mill community. At this time, we are reviewing cost estimates for this project, and the public update meeting for this project will also be this summer. Next is the Academy Gibson, the McGinnis Aquatic Center portion of the Academy Gibson area. Council approved this project and the final design last month. We are moving towards bid documents. We plan on bidding this project in May or June of this year, similar to Caldwell Park. But construction will not be until August once the pool closes for the season. Next is the Dave Phillips Park. We continue with design development for this park. We are anticipating sewer allocation sometime in FY26. If you notice the picture to the left, this is a conceptual drawing of the terrace garden, or not terrace garden, for the environmental education area. If you look to the top right, it's kind of the same area as we move through design development for this park. And if you remember, Dave Phillips Park is focused on environmental education, and that park will be programmed for that purpose with more of a nature theme. Next is Poplar Tent Trailhead Park. This is an internal design by the engineering department and the bond committee. We continue the coordination with Duke Power and with NCDOT. This park is a key park because it's the cross connect point for the Hector Henry Greenway and the Clark Creek Greenway. The additional projects are Wilson Street. This will also be an internal design. We are looking to begin this design in fall or winter of this year. WW Flow is going to be designed by the firm McAdams. We are looking to start this design in FY25. The bottom two are a part of the Academy Kerr project. Those will not start for design until FY26 to be prepared for the bond sale in FY27. And I'll be glad to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Sheila. Question from council? Yes, Sheila, Jennifer.
I don't have a question, Sheila, but I'm assuming, are you far enough along on the two that you're talking about sewer allocation that we would have numbers or be able to, you know, potentially, you know, we have the public piece at the bottom. Could we add that just to kind of have that on our radar when we're looking at that? I don't know if, is that based off the 2T that you can just, that would be great.
Okay, I will.
Jeff just said, so he wrote it down. So, sorry, that was more of a Jeff than a Sheila. But.
Those numbers are developed during the design development phase, which we're in. So I will work with the consultant to get that information, and I'll work with engineering and Jeff on putting
just to
that
have
on
that estimate on there as we're looking at sewer, that would be really good to have that on the public piece.
Yes,
already.
ma'am.
Awesome.
No problem.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Sheila, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
All right, moving to downtown streetscape update.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As per usual, Kaylee and Paige, I believe, are going to tag team this update for council this evening.
Great. Good evening, Mayor, members of council, Mr. Payne, Ms. Kolchinsky, and Ms. Deason. We'll get started with our usual construction update for the month. So a lot has been done, including all of the 2-inch water services between Midblock and Cabarrus. So actually between Corbin and Cabarrus, all of those 2-inch services have been done on the project. An additional 120 square yards of sidewalk and 153 linear feet of landscape curb have been poured within the past month, as you see in that bottom left picture. And a 6-inch fire line service, which is in the right photo, which included cutting and capping the existing 8-inch and 10-inch water lines to a certain point in order to do that work. You can see it's a pretty deep excavation there. We've also installed a seat wall. If you don't know what that is, that's that top left photo, essentially kind of a knee wall with a cap at the top so you could use it as a bench. There will be a tree in the center of that C shape there, and bollard installation, which you'll see on some following photos. 90% of the grading from the mid-block to Corbin has been complete. They only have a little bit left to finish, which is great for the concrete pours for the sidewalk. And a couple things that I didn't have room for, they also installed a ramp with stair at one of the businesses that had a higher elevation for their entry. They've finished up the conduit work from the mid-block to Corbin, and they continue to work on some of the soil cell installation. So current work, we could also move the 30-inch storm drain kind of up to that completed because they've reached a point where they need to stop until they can get the old water lines demoed. They've done a few more light pole bases, continue working on grading, concrete pours, and paver installation. I'll show some more photos of all of that work. And then next up, which is actually also something that we found out this afternoon they've already gotten started on, is the 12-inch sewer line replacement. I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the presentation. And I mentioned the 2-inch water services are complete. There is a 4-inch water meter vault by the Belk building, which is a very large building to service, that still needs to be done before they can demo the old water lines, switch everything over to the new, and then continue work with the stormwater. So wanted to include a lot more photos since a lot of is happening on the surface. This is the progress of the area right across from the Courthouse Plaza. So you can see they're on March 21st and they're working on grading. And then later in April 4th, we've got more of the bollard installation complete, some more stone down, And then just this week, working on the handicap ramp kind of tactile surface there that you see and the paver installation. And these are fresh from this week. They'll be included in the update on the website tomorrow. More paver installation with the brick banding going down. We have had, a fair amount of rain. It's been kind of in the rainy season now, so that is impacting us, but luckily it held off enough this week. They were still able to continue work. And then bar brick is more together now. We still have a few pavers. It's hard to see in that photo to install, but they were able to get that really opened up before the Art Walk event we had this last week. And then the final photo is the granite edge restraint is what we're calling it, but it's again a reuse of those granite curbs that we had on Union Street. This is down toward Corbin Avenue, and there's a new driveway being poured for the business in the back of the photo. So our usual drone images, we did take these on Monday because we weren't exactly sure what the weather was going to look like this week, so some of the progress has happened since these photos were taken. But you can see some of the sidewalk installation, getting more to that full width of sidewalk with the landscaping edge in place. And then here they were working on that 30-inch storm drain that I mentioned. Very quickly, before I go over the 12-inch sewer line, just wanted to remind everyone that we do update the website weekly with more photos and an explanation of kind of what's happening now and what's going to happen in the next week or so. And then also our parking map, no change, but I do anticipate in the next few months that we'll see the parking on Spring and Market Street open up with the completion of the Novi Rise project. So the 12-inch sewer replacement that I mentioned, originally we were not going to replace the 12-inch sewer line between the Midblock and Cabarrus Avenue. However, once excavation started, we realized that the condition of the line meant it needed to be replaced, and that was the best way to move forward. So in this photo, what you're seeing is that I've highlighted is the exposed liner, and in various areas you can kind of see where that pipe has come off of the liner during excavation. So the best path to move forward is replacing that line from, again, the Midblock to Cabarrus Avenue. So what this means for the project, it's 285 linear feet of the existing clay pipe that will be replaced with new ductile iron pipe. It also includes the replacement of 2 manholes and about 240 linear feet of some of the sewer line replacements. So, the service replacement. So that's kind of the lateral lines coming from the businesses into the main line. This is a 40-day extension that has been granted, and the new substantial completion date has moved from August 5th to September 14th. And I have a couple photos, as I mentioned before, they actually were able to start this work today. The good news is it didn't take re-engineering. They were able to get materials ordered and already in place and get to work immediately, or relatively immediately. You can see the new manhole and some of the just excavation getting down to that work. And I'm going to pause here to see if you guys have any questions about this before I move on to kind of the sequencing of the project.
Well, I saw the digging today, and I didn't realize that that's what it was.
Yes, it's a pretty large excavation that they have to do for this work.
Question from council?
Any questions? Okay, then I'll move on to help explain what this means for the sequence. These photos or these images are on our website, and they have been updated for what you're seeing right now. So it means we're going to be in the current work zone a little bit longer, which means we won't get into Cabarrus Avenue until later in the spring and early summer. But right now, continuing to work in this zone, sewer is the priority, so that's what we'll see over the next few weeks. They will do a little bit of stormwater while they have that excavation for the sewer work. And then, of course, we'll continue seeing all the streetscape improvements happening. They are getting really close with bar brick and from Corbin to bar brick with getting a lot of that sidewalk work done. They actually told us today that if the weather holds out next week, all the concrete pours should be complete between bar brick and Corbin next week. Of course, the courthouse side still needs more work. Once we get into Cabarrus, I don't believe that you guys have seen this yet, but they will, NCDOT is telling us that they want us to close the road during the day. So we had mentioned maybe night work, but it will be day work, and there will be local access for the businesses, which I'm kind of showing there. But the intersection itself will be closed to through traffic. Again, we're looking now at that to be a little bit further into that late spring, early summer timeframe. And then through midsummer, when we finally are moving up to the last portion of the major infrastructure work, with the streetscape work continuing to follow behind. With that new September 14th date, we're looking at roadway improvements and streetscape improvements through late summer. And then this has not changed with the final touches coming in the fall with the planting season. And I will pass it to Paige.
Before you go.
Sure.
How long will Cabarrus and Union be closed down?
We've been told 30 days is the goal.
Okay.
So they'll be working on that. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
As Kaylee mentioned, we did have Art Walk last Saturday. I saw several of you out there, so appreciate you coming out for an exciting event to kick off spring in downtown. As you can see on the picture on the right, the crews worked extra hard on Friday leading up to the event, knowing that we had the event, to make sure that that whole area was clear. While we didn't have vendors or anything in that area, it did create a nice open pathway straight over to the Arts Council and to the rest of Union Street, which was our goal, to make sure that the patrons visiting Art Walk could then also visit the rest of the shops and restaurants downtown. So you can see here that we used a similar footprint to what we did for the Concord International Festival previously, and it was great success. Wind is always kind of an interesting factor at these, but we make it work and keep all the tents weighted down. Another exciting movement in downtown is the upcoming pending opening of Novi Rise. That's the building right behind us here in City Hall, and the largest of the 3 Novi properties. Several of us toured the property earlier this week, and they are looking at May-ish, is what they like to say, as far as the opening date for residents to be able to move into those units in that particular building. So as Kaylee said, we'll continue to update things like the parking map and other things, working with the businesses to put some welcome packets together for the residents as they move into these new buildings. Additionally, we do have our downtown merchant meeting on Monday morning. This will be held at the Cabarrus Center at 9 a.m. And this is our opportunity to talk directly to the merchants and business owners and property owners to explain the things that we review, not only related to Streetscape, but also other events and things happening in downtown, get updates from those businesses. But we will be sharing this Streetscape update with the merchants in that meeting, as well as sending out a link to this presentation so that they can stay well informed on what's going on. Questions?
Any questions from council? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, recognition of persons requesting to be heard. I have no one signed up. Is there anyone like to speak? They have 3 minutes to talk about anything. All right, we'll move on. We'll move to public hearings. Number 1, conduct a public hearing. Consider adopting agency annual plan that updates the policies governing public housing program. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved, Mayor.
Motion is second. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. All right. First of all, I have no one signed up for or against. Is there anyone like to speak in regards to this item? There is no one to speak in regards to this item, so is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Back to council for a recommendation. Or is there?
Approve this.
Okay.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Item number 2, conduct a public hearing considering adopting an ordinance annexing 67.037 acres. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
I second that, Mayor.
We've got a motion and a second. So all in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you very much. As far as people signed up, I have 2 individuals signed up to speak as proponents for, and is it Michael Bray? Michael Bray McGrath, is that correct? Okay, come forward, please. Thank you for being here.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm Mike Bray. I'm Real Estate Director with McGrath Rent Corp. And we have recently purchased the adjacent parcel next to our existing parcel off Style Road. And I'm here just basically to answer any questions if anyone has any about the site and future use of the sites. So.
Okay. Any questions from council? All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. We also have Chase Burton.
Hey, good evening. I'm the civil engineer working with Mike Bray and McGrath on developing this property, so I'm also here to answer any technical questions.
Okay. I don't think we have any. All right. Thank you very much. I have no one else signed up. Does anyone like to speak about this item? There's no one else to speak, so is a motion from council to close the public hearing. We got a motion and a second, ready to vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Back to council for recommendation.
Move to approve, Mayor.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second. Ready to vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Item number 3 has been moved to the May meeting. We did that in our Tuesday meeting, which I just want to say something about for our youth council. There's a lot of work that goes into this meeting starting weeks ago. And from the council standpoint, we see the work the week before, then we have a planning session, work session on Tuesday. So we go through all this to make sure that we understand all the details, and then today is the final time that we bring the public in to speak on the public items and anything else that needs to be done, and then we vote on it today. That's why like it's happening fast, but there's a lot of work that came into that. All right, item number 4 is a public hearing. Conduct a public hearing to consider adopting the ordinance amending Article 8. Is there a motion to open the public hearing? So moved. Motion is second. Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. I have no one signed up for or against this item. Is there anyone like to speak in regards to this item? All right, there's no one to speak in regards to this item, so is there a motion from council to close the public hearing? So moved, Mayor. Second. Got a motion second, ready to vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Back to the council recommendation.
I move we adopt the ordinance.
Okay, refresh my memory on the two votes. That's right, we had.
On the last page of the presentation, it has the statement of consistency. If you can bring that up, that'll help.
Okay, so this is the possible statements of reasonability and consistency.
So the first 2 bullet points would be if you are leaning towards adopting the new ordinance. If you are leaning towards not adopting the new ordinance, you would choose the first bullet point and the third bullet point.
We approve this based on those first 2 bullet points. I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve this based on the first 2 bullet points. Okay, are you ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, thank you very much.
And we would need a second vote on adopting the ordinance itself.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Second.
We got a motion and a second, ready to vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. That concludes our public hearings. We'll move to presentations of petitions and requests. Number 1, consider awarding a bid to DL Peoples Construction.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mary went over this item for council on Tuesday evening. This is for the city to build an affordable structure at 341 Broad Drive in the amount of $227,039. Contract going to DL Peoples Construction Incorporated.
All right, is there a motion from council? We got a motion and a second. Thank you very much. Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Item 2, consider adopting a resolution authorizing issuance and sale of multifamily housing revenue bonds. Coleman Mill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jessica went over this item on Tuesday evening. This is a request to lower the amount of issuance of tax-exempt bonds from $34,130,000 to $20,630,000 for the project at Coleman Mill Lofts.
Okay, is there a motion?
Move for approval, Mayor.
We have a motion and a second. All right, ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. All right, thank you. And the second was from Councilman Langford. Number 3, consider approving a resolution authorizing negotiation of an amendment to the installation financing contract.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jessica went over this item on Tuesday evening as well. This is 2 items rolled into one. One of these items is the refunding of the 2014 lobs that we financed for City Hall and rolling that into the 2024 lobs for Fire Station 6 in an amount not to exceed $29 million.
All right, thank you. Is there a recommendation from council?
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Item 4, consider authorizing city manager to negotiate and execute a housing assistance payment, a HAP contract.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Della went over this item on Tuesday and presented this to council for consideration. This is a request to extend the current Section 8 project-based voucher program contract for the villas at Logan Gardens. If approved by council, this would extend to March 10th, 2036.
All right, is there a motion from council? Okay, and a second? We have a motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Number 5, consider authorizing city manager to negotiate and execute a contract with Queens Waterproofing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dirk went over this item for council on Tuesday evening. This is for repairs at the parking deck at Concord Padgett Regional Airport. The low bid is Queens Waterproofing and Restoration, the amount of $191,900.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve? Got a motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Item 6, consider authorizing city manager to negotiate and execute a contract with Basinger Contracting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jeff discussed this project on Tuesday evening with council. This is a contract for improvements or upgrades at Cottle Creek Water Treatment Plant, the amount of $2,677,400. Low bid being Basinger Contracting Company. We ask that you allow staff to move forward with this contract.
All right, thank you very much. Is there a recommendation from council? We got a motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Item 7, consider authorizing city manager to negotiate and execute a contract with Bionomic Services.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jeff discussed this on Tuesday as well. This is our annual slip lining contract and the amount of $1,293,073.95. Bionomic Services Incorporated is the low bid for this project.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion from council? A motion and a second? Got a motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Number 8, consider preliminary application for Angela Michelle Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jackie discussed this item on Tuesday evening with council. This is a request for water services only outside the city limits, address being 51 Ichabod Circle. There is water available, but not sewer to the parcel. The request would be from staff to exclude annexation.
All right, is there a motion from council? Got a motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Number 9, consider a preliminary application from Robert Cronin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Similar to the previous item, Jackie discussed this with council on Tuesday as well. This is for water services only outside the city limits. The property is located at 5617 Mountaineer Lane. Water is available, but sewer is not at the parcel. Staff would recommend excluding annexation of this request.
Thank you very much. So is there a motion from council? We got a motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Number 10, consider making appointments or reappointments to Concord United Committee. The council committee is going to be getting together to finalize this. We'll find a time in the next week to do it. Our goal is to have it done by the second work session. Okay? All right. Consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? We got a motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Moving on to items not on the agenda, we could go through the TAC, Transportation Advisory Committee.
TAC did meet in March, approved the budget for the upcoming year for Philip to work out the contract amount with Conrad Associates RLI. 2 project updates that might be of interest that are fairly positive. One is the bridge over Irish Dutch Buffalo On 29, the first stage of the bridge is nearing completion. So they'll be moving traffic to that in the spring, in the next probably 60 days. And that is on schedule, which is fantastic. And also the Eva Road, Rock Hill Church intersection turn lanes are supposedly on schedule and should be open in the lights in June. Philip, up or down on that?
Okay.
It's one of my favorite contractors.
Moving on to the MTC, the Metropolitan Transit Committee.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council, Mr. Payne, Ms. Kolchinsky, Ms. Deason. Most of the business at the MTC meeting was local to CAT service. However, there was a briefing from NCDOT Rail. I've got a few notes because there was a lot of stuff to it, and you may be familiar with some of it. The end of 2023, NCDOT received 7 intercity rail corridor grants from the federal government for the Federal Corridor Identification and Development Program. What that means for us, the first 3 on the list, or as I arranged them, was 3 of those corridors, Charlotte to DC, Charlotte to Atlanta, and Salisbury to Asheville, were in that approved list. There were also Charlotte to Kings Mountain, Fayetteville to Raleigh, Wilmington to Raleigh, and Winston-Salem to Raleigh. That means those corridors will be studied and designed out for a theoretical line or expansion of existing services. In addition to that, I think the biggest news that most people heard about was the $1.09 billion for the S line, which will start a high-speed connection to from Raleigh to Richmond. And that's for, I believe, the first 17 miles, the hardest part that they've got to get through in terms of design. But that also includes construction, right-of-way acquisition, all of that. So that's an all-in cost for that piece. That was announced amongst record-setting ridership for passenger rail in North Carolina. In 2023, through the first 3 quarters, it was up 23% over 2022. And in October of 23, they had the highest ever monthly ridership of 65,980 passengers. So that's partly been fed by the additional service that's come on for Amtrak, where we have the 5th line run a day. Corridors not selected in this round will be resubmitted. They can be, but they already are planning to do that when the second round comes out. That'll include, in terms of closest to us, in terms of relevance, Winston-Salem to Charlotte connection, and then Greenville to Raleigh, Hamlet to Raleigh, Morehead City to Raleigh, and Weldon to Raleigh. Completion of the planning studies does not equal development of those lines necessarily, but it's required in order to do so. And part of that, Mayor and I talked earlier, is that the corridors in our region that are already approved, and perhaps the 4th one, if it comes online, will fit very well into the advance the plan project piece from Connect Beyond that the Mayor and Lloyd have been serving on as well.
And this is the intercity rail and the commuter rail.
Correct. Yes, sir. It's particularly the intercity rail at this point, but it would certainly then lay the groundwork to allow commuter rail to be layered on top of that as we move forward into future years.
Very good. Thank you very much.
I'll hold for my next one. Or do you want to go right in the Transit Commission? So the Transit Commission meeting did not meet in March. Our next meeting will be 2 weeks from today on the 25th. A big focus there will be going through the FY25 budget. The biggest thing to announce otherwise for riders, we just finished up yesterday our 7th NCPTA, North Carolina Public Transportation Association Annual Conference, Expo, Rodeo, and Golf Tournament. We've had 7 of the last 9 years, including one COVID virtual version of that we ran out of the Transit Center. It's 6 days. We had 155 contestants and judges out at ZMAX on Friday and Saturday for the driving competition and Embassy Suites. We had 60 for our golf tournament, which was a record. We had not broken 50 in recent memory, so we got all the way to 60, which was huge for us and had a perfect day for it. We ended up ultimately having over 350 conference attendees and over 80 industry business partners that were part of that group Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at the Embassy Suites. And over the course of that time, our average spend as an association, our hard spend, which is primarily locally, is $225,000 a year annually, plus all the incidental expenditure that comes with that as folks come on site. I've never had a show and tell piece before, but we do a unique shirt each year for the rodeo contestants and the judges. And so this was our final shirt here with the dragway theme.
With the four wide buses, huh? Yeah.
So
that's really
it's one of the most popular parts of the rodeo competition. So we were excited to keep the racing theme. We had the big track as part of last year's shirt. So, and that. We actually asked that in 2015 and they said no, but we got to use the East Pits for our driving competition. So we wanted to drag race some old buses, but they wouldn't let us.
So tell us just a little bit about what is driving competition?
So I think, Philip, Electric also have rodeo competitions. So basically, in our case, we have both rural and urban system members. We used our 35-foot buses for the big bus competition. Cabarrus County Transportation Service provided their new Ford Transit vans for the small one. And so the drivers go through a timed technical obstacle course of 11 different maneuvers. So it's a combination of skill and precision. In some cases, you have to be within 6 inches of a cone or less. There's also a part where you go through plastic 55-gallon barrels at least 20 miles an hour, which sounds slow till you see the barrels get hit and they go really fast. And then that concludes with stopping at a little 18-inch cone that simulates a child or a ball rolling out the street. And they have to not hit that little person or that little duck, as I refer to it. So it's a pretty slow event, but it's a lot of fun and it has that exciting finish to it. And it's been a big hit. So.
Oh no, this is great. This is great. Okay.
Boys, let's sit down, LJ. We're done. We want to go home.
Yeah. We appreciate what you're doing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Moving back to Central Iowa Regional Council.
No report. No report.
No driving, nothing like that? No small cones that are, okay.
No small children.
Water and Sewer Authority of Cabarrus County.
Jeff, do we have any props? Y'all wouldn't want our props.
Running over small children.
That's right. We don't run over small children either. Yeah. If you guys don't get the newsletter, I would definitely recommend signing up for that. It is very engineer heavy. But I will say it is the top piece of it, I think, does a good job of a recap. So master plan was kind of recapped in that the mapping is complete, but we just don't have the information back from the state, which is really the critical part, that they're going to be able to tell us parameters. Is that a fair thing for then the consultant to be able to kind of plug those in? We're going to talk a little bit about the growth kind of pattern, population, all of that, because they've done a phenomenal job of really, I think, predicting out as best they can growth patterns to 2050. Is that right, Jeff? And so I'll turn it over to you for the details.
Yeah, really just, we're still trying to work on scheduling the final presentation for you guys. But the board got sort of the full rundown. Just really excited, really impressed with the data that went into this. So much data collection, so much forward thinking and planning. Really some really easy to understand visuals of sewer demand growth, water demand growth, where those needs for expansion of capacity for both water and sewer will come into play based on those growth timelines. And then also being able to track where we are at any given point in time related to what our plan showed where we needed to be. Are we above the line? Are we below the line? Do we need that expansion earlier? Do we need it later? So the idea is to really at any given moment to understand where we are, what's next, where it's going to be, keep those cost estimates updated. Just again, really, really impressed. It's going to be a really usable plan to make sure that we have the capacity moving forward. A lot of non-engineer speak, as Ms. Hubbard reminds me all the time.
Thank God.
It really is a lot of good charts. It's really easy to understand, and I think you'll be really impressed with the outcome. Next week, we will meet. The public hearing for the budget adoption is on the agenda next week, so we'll begin that process. One small allocation update. Engineering staff did receive some updated guidance from WASAC, I believe this week or last week, on one-bedroom residential development. If you recall, late last year, the regulatory reform bill made some changes to how that capacity was allocated. That's where the 75-gallon per bedroom action came from. Well, moving forward, we are going to now use 75 gallons for one-bedroom residential development. So engineering staff is going back through the numbers. There's going to be some small changes, nothing large. Don't get your hopes up. There'll be some small tweaks based on some one-bedroom apartments that we've already allocated, as well as some that are in the hopper right now. So they're going to make those adjustments. So far, we have not had any one-bedroom townhomes or single-family residential, but just wanted you to be aware that those numbers will tweak just a little bit, but not of any consequence at all. Yeah, correct. So there's always been a minimum of 2 bedrooms. You could not go below that. But some clarification on what that regulatory reform bill did, and with WASAC, we are now instructed that we can use that 1-bedroom number. So again, won't go too far, but just wanted to let you know those numbers are going to change just a little bit.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much for keeping us up to date on this. Rebuild Concord, Dr. Graham. We've already done the other one.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Council, Mr. Payne, Ms. Kolchinsky, and Ms. Deason. This month, we'll have 8 units that will be available. They're either available now or will be available for the end of the month. They are located at 9, 11, 13, 15, 23 Powder, 94 and 96 Chestnut, 150 Swink, which actually is under contract for closing on the 23rd of this month, and 1 Buffalo Avenue, Unit 73. 9, 11, 13, 15, and 23 Powder are ownership units, as well as 94, 96, and 1 Buffalo Avenue will be an affordable rental unit. On Lincoln Street, we have erected 20 of the 26 buildings. Water taps are complete on Malvern and Lincoln, along with a subsurface, and we'll have full resurfacing complete by next week. Melrose taps and resurface will begin a little bit later in the project, a latter phase in the summer. The total project should be completed by fall, and WeBuild has also contacted the lead contractor to inform subcontractors to park on one side of the street, a very narrow one. I want to back up to just say one thing too about Powder Street. The units that we have there are on the corners of Powder and Cabarrus Avenue. You'll notice that we pay particular attention to the elevations there, because as you enter the city, which is a major throughway into your current streetscape, it does provide a better view of Concord when you come in, which I think is important to note. 114 Kerr, the church project, actually is in its second round, or we're submitting our second round of feedback to engineering. Once all feedback is accepted, we will actually go immediately into bids for construction. 266 Malvern, we have selected Workplace as the architecture and engineering firm for that project. That service has already begun. Both Kerr and Malvern projects will be rentals, and we will target North Carolina Choice Voucher residents and vulnerable populations at 60% of the AMI and below. 77 Corbin Avenue, which is the 11 units, or we're aspiring to have 11 units for seniors. Cottage Village, there will be an RFP for architecture and engineering this summer. One other thing I want to note that I think has become sort of a surprise to us, as well as an ability as a nonprofit arm of the city to do, is that we now, when you look at per household, are the second largest provider of down payment assistance per household. $30,000 average for each household. So when we do, I'm not sure about the state. I know here in this region, talking about $30,000 per household, And looking at projections of the next few purchasers that we have in line for these units, that will not stop. We will probably be there or a little bit above. Now, the benefit of that is obviously it makes units that actually have higher value still more accessible to those who are earning below 80% area median income. In fact, our average AMI for a household right now is 62. So that means you have some below that and a couple above that. So I think that that's important to note. The other thing that it does, it also helps us meet some federal requirements and grants a lot easier because we're providing something that we didn't anticipate when we first launched, but really sort of migrated to that policy because it made sense. It was a way also to benefit the community in terms of neighborhood stability and, of course, making affordability for our residents. And last two things is on April 24th, you may have received a notice that we've had tours of our units. We are completely full with a waiting list. These are citizens. They are not actual purchasers. They actually go through a different process. So it lets you know, too, with a pretty lengthy waiting list, we'll have to do this again in May. But it lets you know the interest that people have in affordable and workforce housing. And last is the Central Lina Regional Council has been selected to facilitate WeBuild's 25-28 strategic plan. I know that they are doing some work with the city, and because of our close alignment, I think that that will actually be beneficial to us all. So with that, any questions?
Any questions, council?
I have some, maybe.
Sure.
Are you? First, thank you for everything that you're doing. Can you repeat what you said about the Lincoln Street 26 units?
So right now, there are 20 of the 26 up. So you know on there that we have 26 units total.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 3 pads that are up. There's one pad that has the last 6 that's not up yet because we're removing a temporary retention pond so that we can build that pad.
And of course, you know, I think a couple of us have dealt with the concerns about the road condition on Lincoln, Melrose, and Malvern. Can you repeat that?
So on Lincoln and Malvern, they actually, those taps have been completed. They actually have the subsurface done, and the full resurface will be complete next week. Participating over the next 3 business days, Monday through Wednesday.
I think Sunday was the last time I rode through, and I could tell some work had been done. So,
yeah.
You know, thank you, and I guess Harmon and whoever else for
sure.
starting
And
that process.
Councilwoman Betty, we understand. You're talking about a neighborhood where I believe those streets must have been designed for buggies, but it is tight. And we realize too that we have subcontractors that come in and out constantly. You notice there's a lot of activity on that site to try to move it that quickly. So sometimes communication with them becomes harder and harder because they come in and out so fast. We have had contact with Harmon because they're the lead. We hold them sort of responsible for that communication to ensure that they at least park on one side of the street, even if they have to walk much further. Some of them do have equipment. They'll have to come a little closer, and sometimes that may be unavoidable. But for the most part, we're trying to get everyone to park on one side. But it's progress comes at a, you know, small aggravation, I guess.
There. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Patrick, I don't have a question, but I know you spoke to CCAR yesterday.
Yes.
That is a group of realtors that are very passionate about housing. So all this work is important, but I appreciate you continuing to do the outreach because I think it's important that we're continuing to share that story, but also share it with people that then now can have our eyes out in the community if, there are opportunities that come up. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Thank you, and thank them for having me. I appreciate that. We had a good time actually yesterday. I laughed at my own jokes often.
And if you didn't notice, as he walked up the camo pants, he's also wearing Gore-Tex shoes so that he can go from a presentation to a muddy construction site. He's multi-talented.
A lot of flexibility. All right.
I didn't intend to have those on. I thought I'd make it home first, but that didn't happen. Sorry.
Oh, no, you should have just played it up. It was perfect. All right. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Public Art Commission.
No update, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Concord United. Yes. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council, Mr. Payne, Ms. Deason, Ms. Golchinsky. Just a few quick updates on behalf of the Concord United Committee. I want to start by acknowledging the life of Ms. Lyndia Gabriel. She was a member of the committee since its formation and recently passed, but want to just acknowledge her service to both the committee and then other parts of the city of Concord as well as the county. In terms of items that we've been working on, still a focus on food deserts. Steve, our Director of Planning, came and spoke as our main presenter for the month of March. In April, we'll continue that work, hoping to have a leader from the Gibson Mill community come and talk about their interactions or lack thereof with food in their community. And then lastly, we sent over a recommendation to fill several vacancies. That's everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
When are you due, Jeff?
May 27th. I got some time.
All right. Anybody have anything else they want to share? I was informed that the scholarship dinner dealing with NAACP has been postponed till 2025. So it will not be happening June 15th like we were told earlier in the week. So, all right. We're going into closed session. I need a motion to move that we go into closed session pursuant of NC General Statute 143-318-11A, 3 and 4, in order to consult with an attorney to protect attorney-client privilege, to consult with an attorney to give instruction concerning judicial action titled City of Concord versus Barbara Scotia College Incorporated, and to discuss the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area served by this public body. Is there a motion? Second?
Second.
We got a motion second. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. We are in closed session.